I used to sit next to a guy who wore one of those machines, and it's like, yeah, if he didn't take his insulin shot when he needed to, he's going to fucking die in like 15 minutes. Like, that shit is serious. That's a very serious medical condition.
Bro's beeping like R2-D2. Pipe down.
Hello, De Niro Nation, and welcome to Our Hero De Niro, the only podcast watching and recapping Robert De Niro's entire filmography in random order. I'm Mike, joined as ever by my co-host, Mike.
No relation.
And today, we are here to discuss the 2002 Michael Caton Jones film City by the Sea, starring Robert De Niro. Mike, had you ever heard of this film before we rolled it for the podcast?
No, sir, I did not. And I have to say, it is an incredibly unpopular film just in terms of viewership numbers on Letterboxd. I think only 11,000 people have logged it. So pretty obscure.
Yeah. It might be like the least I'd ever heard of a film in my life.
Yeah.
Like I had I just didn't know that this existed. I love Robert De Niro, love Frances McDormand, two of my favorite actors of all time. And certainly never saw this bad boy. So as I said, it was directed by this gentleman, Michael Caton Jones. I don't think he's ever done anything else of note, right? Yeah, not anything that I've ever heard of.
Yeah, I think he's more of a journeyman director.
Yep. And it was written by this gentleman named Ken Hickson. And it stars Robert De Niro, Frances McDormand, James Franco, Eliza Dushku, William Forsythe, and some gentleman I've never heard of named George Zunda. And it was, to your comment, not a popular film either when it was released, nor is it now. It had a $40 million budget and grossed only $29.5 million at the box office, and is sitting with a handsome 48 on Rotten Tomatoes. So neither well received nor well watched as a film in its day.
48 is the gentleman's 45.
I don't think there's much of a difference between a 48 and a 45 on Rotten Tomatoes, honestly. It's an interesting film. It's based on a story. I should put based in big loosely, air quotes here.
Yeah.
Very loosely based on a story of a real police detective from New York named Vincent LaMarca, which is also the name of the main character played by our guy, Robert De Niro. But the stuff about him, we can talk about this in a little bit more detail at the end of the podcast. The stuff about him on which the film is based, the film does a lot of embellishment. It takes a lot of creative liberties with what we really know about this character in a way, or about this person rather, in a way that I think is, it's really interesting. It's a very strange thing. I was very surprised after watching it to learn that it was based on a true story. And then I was even more surprised as I dug into it that they took such liberties with this real guy's life. It was it's very odd, but nobody saw the movie, so it doesn't really matter. Not a huge impact on the overall kind of epistemological reality of this guy's life and legacy in the American consciousness. I would love to get right into the recap. Do you have anything you'd like to add before we jump in?
No, I'm not going to stop you. Go for it.
All right. So one thing I want to say before we start, I really tried to kind of get past this as I watched the film, but there was a quality of the film that I found so sensorially unenjoyable that I really do think it dragged down my enjoyment of the film. And I know you had the same experience while you were watching it. So I don't know what the actual aspect ratio of this film was when it was released. What's it called when something's 21:9? There's a word for that, isn't it? Like that aspect ratio.
I think you're thinking of the word anamorphic, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's anamorphic.
It doesn't. Okay, well, whatever. In any case, it clearly had a pretty wide aspect ratio when it was originally shown. And you and I both watched it on Amazon Prime Video, where bafflingly they have for some reason constrained it to a 16:9 regular widescreen aspect ratio. But not with, it's squished. They didn't cut off the edges like you would have seen on a 4:3 DVD that you would have bought in the 90s when TVs were that shape. They actually just squished it. And I did honestly consider, I looked at Apple. I was about 20 minutes into the film and I was like, this fucking blows. I will happily pay the $3 to rent this if it means I won't have to watch it this way. But I looked at the preview of the Apple film and that cuts off the edges of the picture. it's still encoded it in 16 by 9, but it then cuts off the edges. And I was like, well, it's kind of bad either way. I think I'd like to see the whole picture and actually get the information about what the filmmakers wanted to convey. So I did stick with the Prime Video version. It kind of gave me a little bit of a headache. Just the people look so weird. Like it's I don't know. I find that kind of thing really disorienting. How did it affect you when you were watching it?
I don't think it affected me as badly, but you know what I did? I actually watched this on the projector last night. And what I did was I actually went into the manual picture adjustment and I just vertically squished the window to make it look a little better. It still wasn't perfect, but yeah, it was only available to stream on Prime Video, and I had the added layer. I was a little afraid because when I started the film up on my Apple TV, I pay for regular Amazon Prime, and I received a 2.5 minute ad break at the start of the film. Okay, fine. I hit the mute button. I never listen to commercials.
You get up, you take a piss, not do it. Whatever. Yep.
But then 8.5 minutes into the film, another 2.5 minute ad break. And I was extremely concerned at that point. And I actually looked, I went to see if there was somewhere I could download this film or whatever. But unfortunately, no one has, there aren't many seeders for the torrents of City by the Sea on the internet. So I powered through. Unfortunately, that was the only ad break in the film, but it was very disruptive. And it's incredible how much worse everything is getting all the time.
Yes, it is. It is bad. I'll invite folks listening to the podcast, if they're not aware, to just do a little bit of research into this concept of enshittification. It's this relatively recent kind of like business cycle, sociological concept of the way that technology platforms kind of morph and evolve over their life cycle to essentially become less generous to their users and more generous to business stakeholders who are like investing in advertising and stuff like that. And, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I don't really know what to do about it, honestly. Like, it totally makes sense as a phenomenon in like the progression of a business. But God, it is really awful to experience as someone who used to really love consumer technology. Like oh my gosh, I used to love this stuff. And now it makes me kind of miserable. I'm becoming a Luddite.
I've seen similar complaints being launched at Spotify for increasing their prices again, but I think that's such a different situation because it's like what? Like, so they increase the price to $15 a month to listen to every song ever. Like, I don't know. It seems like a pretty good deal to me.
Yeah. Spotify is really like, I'm annoyed that Spotify is going to increase its price. I'm one of the people who's complained to you about this. But in my heart of hearts, if I'm honest with myself, Spotify should probably be $50 a month.
Right.
Like, if you really think about, like, for me, and you listen to more music than I do, but like you and me both listen to thousands of minutes of music a month, thousands of hours of music a year. Like, I listen to music all the time. I don't know, to get that for $10 a month, $12 a month, whatever we're paying for Spotify, like, it's pretty fucking crazy, man. What an amazing product. The Spotify price increases could drive me to another streaming service, but it's difficult for me to think of what the upper threshold would be of streaming media or streaming music as a content delivery system that would make me not pay for it. I honestly think I would pay $100 a month for streaming music if it cost that much. Like, it would be so much money before I was like, well, music doesn't mean this much to me. Like, I'm not willing to spend this money on it. I love listening to music. And I'd be buying CDs if I didn't have streaming music. I'd be buying probably like a few albums a month.
We bought CDs when we finally had MP3 players like the iPod. That was great, but it still limited you to a few thousand songs. I mean, I don't know, when it comes to music discovery, people have complaints about Spotify and AI generated songs and stuff like that. And I certainly agree with all of those criticisms, but like, it's incredible that I can just think of a song and just find it and listen to it in high quality, or be recommended songs or be sent songs by people like you. It's great. I don't know.
And at the end of the day, like, dumbass populists who have a poor understanding of the way economics and business work love to bitch about these kinds of price increases just being profiteering on the part of these companies. But like, Spotify just turned their first profit ever last year in like 18 years of existence, and Apple Music has never made money. And as far as I know, no streaming service has ever made money. So it's like, I'm not going to lie and say that like Daniel Ek and like the Spotify board aren't hoping to pad their pockets a little bit by doing these price increases. But increasing these prices is also the only way that artists are going to get paid more money. There just isn't enough money in the ecosystem to pay these people fairly. It should cost more money. But Daniel Ek, if you're listening to this podcast, please just turn it off and neuralize yourself, Men in Black style, and forget this, because I really don't need you knowing that there are people out here who would pay, like 5 times what they're currently paying for your service.
Maybe walk into something, bang your head into something pretty hard.
Yep. Or just, listen to some like really loud, like Slipknot or something,
Is that gonna,
those songs are all on there. I don't know. Like, maybe like jar you,
Is that just how you feel about nu metal?
Yeah, I don't like nu metal, I like
man,
you. It's not a kind of music that I really like. I know it's one of your favorite genres.
Oh, it's one of my favorites for sure. That's prime video gaming music. Throw on some Linkin Park.
Okay, well, let's get into it. So the film opens, and it opens with kind of a montage of archival footage of Long Beach on Long Island in New York. And I wrote here, I've never been to Long Island. You ever been to Long Island?
No, I haven't, which is interesting. Maybe it's not interesting because my family is from New York City, but from the Bronx. So I guess there was just never a reason to venture
kind of way
east.
Up there relative to
pretty far away.
To Long Island. Is pretty far away. I did notice this too, and I felt pretty vindicated when I read about the film afterward. I saw a lot of the footage from this film, and I was like, I think this is Asbury Park, New Jersey, which is where Bruce Springsteen is from, and I have been to Asbury Park as a Bruce Springsteen super fan, and I was correct. So most of the film in the film, most of the scenes that take place on the beach were actually shot in Asbury Park, New Jersey, not on Long Island.
It is
beautiful
pretty
place,
funny.
Beautiful boardwalk.
To center your film around this very specific location and then just shoot a few towns over.
Yep. And I noted here as well that the opening credits style De Niro's name without a space, which
I
we've
also
never
noticed
seen.
that.
It was
Freaky.
really odd. Yeah. Yep. So the archival footage montage opening ends, and we see James Franco, noted canceled scumbag James Franco. May he rest in peace. I want to say I knew that James Franco was canceled when I saw him in this film. I was like, I haven't seen him for a long time, and I couldn't remember what he got canceled for, and I was like, I'm gonna go refresh my memory on this one. And there are some people in media whose cancellations I think we now look back on and we're like, I don't know, that might have been a little bit severe. But for James Franco, I was reading about the things he did and I was like, I don't know. I don't really know if there's any cancellation too severe for that, actually. Some pretty bad behavior on his part.
I remember it mostly had to do with allegations around his teaching school or his he
was like
theater school, right?
Grooming students, I think.
Yeah.
But then there was also a case of him trying to groom some lady on, I think, Instagram DMs or something. And she told him in text that she was 17 and he still tried to get her to come meet up with him.
That's not good.
It's
you don't
like,
want to do
brother,
that,
number one, bro, you're like a middle-aged man. Why are you trying to sleep with a woman whose age starts with a 1? Like, just as a start. But number two, what are you, fucking stupid?
Right.
It's in writing.
You're an A-list Hollywood celebrity. This is the easiest story ever. It will spread like wildfire. What you have to do in a situation like that is you mute that conversation, set a reminder with Siri, remind me in 365 days to message Vicky again, whatever, and do it the legal way, do it the right way.
Yep.
The film school thing is so funny too. It's like, what a creepy perv move. Just I'm imagining I'm imagining like the casting couch scenario where he's just like, okay, Jessica, well, you seem to meet most of the criteria for this role. Sandy blonde hair, check. Blue eyes. Just need to see how your labia looks. It's really important for this character.
The thing about it is I think the thing that makes it so sordid and distasteful to me is just it kind of lays bare that it's a power thing.
Absolutely.
Because you're James Franco.
Right.
You could get any woman to be interested in you to at least talk to you.
Did you not already have enough opportunities for hooking up with attractive women as James Franco?
So if those are the attractive women you're trying to hook up with, it's I think it's about flexing your power in a way that's really gross and distasteful. What a weird bad guy. But he's good in this film.
Yeah, I was gonna say, separating the art from the artist. I think he's a good actor. I think he's good in this role.
Actor.
I think he's really good playing this sort of tweaked out young adult. And he was also filming this back to back with Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film, and I think he's really good in that film too, as the rich twerp best friend. Yep. So I don't know.
He's an excellent actor. It's a shame, but well-deserved cancellation. So R.I.P. James Franco. Enjoyed watching you in this film. The P stands for piss, as I'm sure you know. So we see him walking around with a guitar. It seems like he's trying to pawn it to a bunch of people on the street, but we initially can't hear the dialogue. And he eventually goes into a diner and asks a person he bumps into there to lend him $20. And I wrote here, I'm sure he needs the money for a good reason. And I was right, because we discover shortly thereafter that it was for drugs. We then get a scene of him sitting in a car with a friend of his, and the way this scene was shot was bizarre. Did you clock this?
No, I don't think I did.
It's very disorienting, and like it's shot kind of breathily, and like there are a lot of like really close up, like narrow shots of the two of them like doing drugs in the car in this way that like I think was maybe cinematographically meant to convey the disorienting nature of drug abuse, I guess. But like it was very odd. It didn't work for me at all, and I just found it really really unpleasant to watch. I think they're smoking crack in this scene.
I was going to say, personally, you know what else is unpleasant? Being addicted to crack cocaine.
Probably smoking crack. Yeah, I personally never have smoked crack, and I'd like to think with relative confidence that I never will. I mean, this late in my life, like if I made that mistake earlier, like I don't know, my life would have to take a pretty precipitous dip for me to start smoking crack. Seems like one of the really bad ones.
Yeah. I don't know. How do you even reach that point? A lot of dominoes would have to fall before you start smoking crack.
Yeah, it's sad to think about, honestly. I mean, how did it happen to James Franco, right?
Well, we'll find out.
Yep. So they're smoking crack in the car, and we get a shot of another car that's in the parking lot. And in this other car that's in the parking lot, there's some weird looking guy with a lot of face tattoos. And James Franco's friend gets out of the car, walks over to the car that the face tattoo gentleman is sitting in, and they have some kind of a disagreement. The audio is muffled. We can't hear what they're arguing about. But face tattoo pulls a knife and initially attacks the friend, but somehow gets kind of like diverted in some way and ends up attacking James Franco, and somehow James Franco is able to turn the tide and kills the guy. And they dump the body into the river. James Franco's friend says that it'll just wash out into the ocean, and spoiler alert, it's fucking not going to. And that will be the inciting incident for the film.
What I love about this moment is how decisive and quick to action James Franco's drug dealer is, which is great. Like I was honestly impressed. I was like, oh, he already has a plan of action, dump it in the river. But it's like, of course, that's not going to work. Why do you think it would just cleanly wash out into the fucking ocean and not hit a rock?
Right. It's a huge body.
Right.
Like there's a lot of stuff in the port of New York. Like there are like a lot of things that can stop it from making its way out out into the ocean.
I love how pathetic that the face tattoo drug dealer was. Like, you know, we have the phrase bringing a knife to a gunfight, but he had the only weapon and he still managed to get owned by it.
It's really good. Oh, great shit. Yep. So James Franco goes to a house, and we realize soon after that it's his mom's house, but he does not live there. He goes in, and we see him kind of frantically washing like a ton of blood off of his arm. I think we're to understand that he was wounded in the knife fight. He got slashed. Yep. And his mom comes downstairs, and she's all pissed that he's home, and she wants him to call his father. And he doesn't want to do that. They have a fight about how he's a drug addict and he's always talking about wanting to get clean, but he never does. And James Franco says that he wants to go to Key West, where it'll be easy for him to get clean. I wrote here shades of JJ from Born to Win. He just needed to get out of town. It'll be easy to get off drugs when
it's the environment that kills you.
Yep, say it so is. Yep. And his mom tells him that the counselor whom she's talked to has been telling her not to give him any more money, which I think is fair.
Probably
and
a good idea.
He leaves the house kind of grouchily. I also want to say here that I haven't started doing it in my notes, but I'm just going to start calling him by his character's name. James Franco's character's name is Joey.
Okay.
So we'll call him Joey from now on. We get our first De Niro sighting at the beginning of the next scene. I wrote it down actually this time, but would you like to say when it was?
I had it clocked at 11 minutes and 5 seconds. What about you?
I also had it clocked at 11 minutes and 5 seconds.
I love that.
Yeah, I tried to figure the way that De Niro is initially revealed is there is a kind of slightly middle distance panning shot down to a window that he's looking out. And so I tried to clock the exact second when the pan reached his face on the screen. It looks like we both locked it in.
That's dedication. Right. Can I tell you, this is one of those films where that was the only note that I took while I was watching the movie. So
that's
everything
great. I'm
else
sure
is
you're
coming
do a
off
great
the dome.
job.
I hope so. Otherwise, I'll delete this whole episode. It'll never be released. The lost tapes.
His phone is ringing. His name's Vincent, by the way. And I wrote here, he must be James Franco's dad. And I was right.
It's incredible.
We see the caller on the other end of the phone, and it's James Franco, Joey, but he stumbles and isn't able to get his nerve up to say anything. And Vincent hangs up on him. The phone rings again, and Vincent answers the phone all pissed like, why are you calling me again? But it's his girlfriend. Her name is Michelle, and she's played by Hollywood big shot Frances McDormand, one of my favorite actors of all time.
Yeah.
Really exciting to see her in this film.
I heard that apparently her role in this film was much longer and they cut it down. Did you know that?
That was a crazy choice. No, I didn't know that. Why would they do that?
I think to keep the runtime under 2 hours and to focus more on the father-son relationship. I don't know if that was the right call. I mean, in fact, I can say it probably wasn't.
Why don't you save it for the final thoughts?
I'm just saying you had Frances McDormand is all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, she is one of the greatest actors of all time. So very, very strange decision to deprioritize her screen time in the film. So she invites Vincent over. He leaves his apartment to go to hers, and we see that he only has to walk downstairs. So they're together, and they live in this apartment building, one floor separated from each other. We also learn in this scene that Vincent is an NYPD cop. The next day, we see Vincent go to work. He shows up to a crime scene, and the crime is the dead guy who his son killed. So
what are the odds?
What are the odds? The corpse has $4,000 in small bills and a wallet on him. And I just thought to myself here, I appreciate your acknowledgement of how quick-witted his friend was. And I'm honestly willing to forgive not understanding water patterns, hydrodynamics in the New York City port, that's all fine. But why'd you leave his ID on him, idiot? You fucking morons. Why'd you leave $4,000 on him? You didn't want to search the body for 15 seconds before you throw it in the water, empty the pockets, make it a little harder for the cops to figure out who the guy is. They're going to find out who killed this guy. They're going to find out that it was James Franco within the first 45 seconds of the investigation. I feel like that could have been made to take a little longer if maybe they didn't have his government issued identification on the dead body.
If there's one thing I've learned from Dexter, it's that you have to get on a boat and go way out into the ocean before you drop those dead bodies in the water.
Yeah, and you need to wrap it in plastic and cut it into tiny little pieces.
Yeah, you can't just do the whole body.
Yeah, it's a real shame. And as I think about it, I don't think Dexter was on TV yet in 2002, was it? So James Franco would not have been able to see that show before he did this. I think that maybe if he'd seen Dexter, he would have handled this a little better.
Do you think he would have had the nerve to hack a dead body up into bits?
No, I think it's Dexter's sociopathy and his medical training that allows him to do that.
Yeah, he probably puts a little bit of toothpaste on his upper lip so the smell doesn't bother him as much.
Yeah, I think Dexter is supposed to be a literal trained physician in Dexter. I think he has an MD, so he probably became kind of a nerd to that experience. In addition to by way of a sociopathy, probably a med school, I would think. So I don't think James Franco's been to med school in this film.
Dexter was a doctor?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's supposed to be.
He's a crime scene investigator. So you're saying he went to med school?
He's like the
forensics
expert.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're doctors?
He's like a medical forensics expert. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be.
I'm pretty sure someone with his job in real life makes $60,000.
We've had this argument before. Yeah. It's $80,000.
Okay, my bad.
Yep.
I'm not trying to undermine all of the Dexters of America.
Yeah, if we have any Dexter heads in the audience, why don't you write in and tell us if you think Let us know if you think Dexter had a formal medical degree. So anyway, the detectives, Vincent and his partner, they go to Long Beach because that's where the dead guy's wallet says he lived. And they visit the police station, and we learn via some expository dialogue that Vincent used to be a cop in Long Beach before he transferred out to New York. We see them riding around, and it looks like Long Beach is a real shithole. So I think that, let's just kind of talk about, I guess, throughout the discussions of things about this film that work and don't work. Here's something that doesn't work. it's pretty unfocused. Like, I think that it's trying to be about too many things. And as I've told you in disagreements we've had about movies before, movies can be about more than one thing thematically. But I think for a movie to be about more than one thing thematically, it has to do proper justice to each of those topics. And it really doesn't do very much to review the kind of way that Long Beach has disintegrated economically and structurally over the preceding decades, which I think is supposed to be a part of this like story of like lost souls fallen to drug addiction or whatever. But, the only review of it really we get is this kind of slightly staid review of how shitty everything looks around there.
No, I completely agree. I actually read in doing my research after watching the film that it was originally conceived as more of a gritty ensemble crime drama that was more focused on the procedural aspects and Long Beach's economic stagnation. And it was rewritten once De Niro joined the project to focus more on the father-son relationship. So I completely agree that it's a film that feels like it's trying to do too many things. It's trying to be like a true crime drama, but it's also trying to be this, Greek tragedy, father-son story. And I also read that De Niro was attracted to the role because it was a kind of a quieter, smaller role than these bigger transformations that he had been doing, like Meet the Parents being a prime example. So I think it's just competing visions that never quite coalesce.
Yeah, that's well said. That's why you have a Robert De Niro podcast. We see
1 year down.
Yep. We see a scene of Joey's buddy, who he killed the guy with, meeting up with another guy who for a while in my notes I described as Scary Face. But his name's actually Spider, so we'll just call him Spider as we talk about him. I didn't clock that until like the last third of the movie. He tells Spider.
I was going to ask, you have a better memory than me, or at least you claim to. Wasn't Spider 50 Cent's character's name in Righteous Kill also a drug dealer?
Yeah, you're right.
Into the Spider-Verse.
But importantly, what I think close viewers would have noticed is that 50 Cent is actually black, whereas the gentleman who plays the Spider character in this film is white. So I don't think
it's a really good distinction. No, I guess probably not.
Yep. Spider tells Joey's buddy about how the fat guy he killed, whose name was Monroe, aka Picasso, had $4,000 on him that he's looking for, that I guess he owed to Spider. I think what we're supposed to understand, although this is very thinly sketched, is that like this Monroe Picasso gentleman was like a lower on the rung drug dealer in this like Long Beach drug sales ecosystem. Yeah. And Spider is like his distributor, like up the chain. So he was carrying $4,000 that he was meant to pay to him. And this guy Spider clearly knows, I think based on Picasso having told him that he was meeting up with Joey's buddy and Joey, that they're the culprits of him being missing, and they think that they killed him. Spider thinks that they killed him to steal the money, not in self-defense.
Everyone immediately IDs the perps. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, the federal murder rate or solve rate is only like 40%. So this makes me want to ask you, and maybe we've talked about this before in Our Hero De Niro: Year One, but do you think you could get away with murder?
No.
Yeah.
Because I really have no desire to kill anybody.
Right. I'm not saying like desire to.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, I think the context in which I could get away with it would be if I just, like, wanted to try killing somebody.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think if I just picked a random person, like, yeah, I could probably plop one out and, like, get away with it. I think I'm pretty smart and careful, but I have no desire to commit murder. And so if I ever did kill somebody, it would be for a reason. And having a reason is how you get caught.
They're gonna get,
if there's any tie between you and the person you kill, they're gonna find you. Forensics are really advanced. They're gonna talk to the people you know. You're gonna fuck up somewhere. Like you're not that good. You're not gonna kill somebody who you have a reason to kill and get away with it. You're just not that good.
Right.
What about you?
I think I'd be more likely to get away with it than you would be. But you're a very secretive person. I'm not a very secretive person. And very, just like diligent. But I don't know enough about that sort of thing other than what I watched in the first handful of seasons of Dexter before it, went from bad to really bad.
I watched it all.
There are just things I wouldn't think of because you're right. Forensics, DNA evidence, like all of these things, like the technology is becoming better all the time. And I'm sure I would fuck something up and leave a hair somewhere, my beautiful thick head of hair that I still have at 36. And they would go, it was this guy.
If you're going to kill somebody, you just need to shave yourself completely bald before you do it. So there's no follicles left.
But here's the thing.
The issue is, right, we had this discussion on the podcast,
you have to do it well enough in advance where people aren't associating it with, hold on a second, Mike just shaved his head a week ago. His wife is dead by murder.
No hair follicle evidence
found.
at the crime scene, but isn't that odd?
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. You shouldn't try to kill people, but
yep. I'm not going to do it.
We'd be
I'm
better
pretty sure
at
I'll
it
never kill anybody
than James Franco would be. Yes.
Oh, definitely. He did it really poorly. Spider looks out and I think like sees that Joey's outside, or maybe he like notices him just as he's walking out. But as he walks out of the diner, he has an interaction with Joey where he screams, "You're dead, motherfucker," or like something like that. And Joey runs away. So Spider knows, and now he's after Joey because he knows that he was the killer, essentially. Yeah. We see Vincent back at home in the city at night, and he's walking Michelle home from work. We get a little bit more expository dialogue here between the two of them. They've been seeing each other for about a year. They have a relationship that's based on routine and convenience. They're not particularly close. They just live in the same building, and they like sleeping together, essentially. And he walks her home from work every night. She works like a movie theater or something, I think, right?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't really matter. You probably saw this movie. Do you think it worked? They go back to her apartment and have a breathy romantic conversation in her bed. And it's all about how Vincent is just really comfortable with the routine of his life. We get a cut to Joey. He's sitting at the seashore. And then we see a scene of his friend who's booked and getting interviewed by the cops. He turned himself in and went in to try to turn Joey in. Vincent is there. And the friend tells the cops that the perp's name is Joey Nova. Named Joey Nova because he drives an old Chevy Nova. And Vincent doesn't know that his son's nickname is Joey Nova. And so he does not yet realize that the Joey in question is his Joey, James Franco, his boy. I mean, I think in 2002, right, that was like a pretty clear indication. Like if you were driving like an early model Chevy Nova, like you're maybe at a little bit of a low point in your life. Like I'm not trying to alienate anybody who was driving Chevy Novas in 2002, but not a good car.
I don't know if there are any Chevy Novas still running.
I wouldn't think so. No.
Yeah.
If you know of any running Chevy Novas, why don't you write into ourherodeniro@gmail.com. Take the spot a running Chevy Nova challenge.
You send us an
harder
email
than the Dodge Dart challenge.
Oh yeah.
So we see Spider, and he pulls up to a drive-thru, and the drive-thru is being run by a lady named Gina, played by one of the great hotties of 2002, Eliza Dushku.
Absolutely.
Yep, it was hard to really tell how hot she was because her face just looked so narrow. It's like that's not what she looks like. But I remember her from Dollhouse.
Yeah, much wider face.
Yeah, she had a much wider, more normal face in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Dollhouse. We see him kind of have a little bit of an argument with her over the drive-thru, and she tells him to go away, essentially. And then we see Vincent and his partner. They're at some warehouse. It's all run down. It's in Long Beach. It's covered in graffiti. And Vincent says they should get a warrant, but his partner says it'll take too long, so they just go in warrantless. And we see a shot that indicates that Joey's living there, and he kind of peeks his head around the corner and sees his dad. Awkward. And we see him looking at a very rudimentary, like kind of child's placemat map of the continental U.S. And he kind of pans down and focuses on Florida. He really wants to go to the Keys, baby.
Yeah, it's sub Rand McNally, this map.
He goes out and he breaks into a veterinary office to steal drugs. And I wrote here, seems like he's ready to get clean, just like he told his mom. He's just got to move to the Keys.
Listen, he just committed murder. He's wanted by the cops. What's going to help him think straight is getting high on drugs.
There you go, baby. We see him visit the Gina lady from the drive-thru, and we get some more expository dialogue. They used to be together. She's quit drugs. He hasn't quit drugs. She gives him a little bit of money, and then we see Vincent arrive home, and his partner drives up as he's walking into his building and says they discovered the car they're looking for, the Chevy Nova, and who's it registered to? But his son, James Franco.
Oh, God. Yeah, he's not going to like hearing that.
Super awkward. I wrote here, is he going to recuse himself? Apparently not. He questions Joey's buddy, who's still in holding, and gets really aggressive with him and orders his subordinates. I should say here, I don't think we've acknowledged this, but Vincent is a lieutenant detective, so he's pretty high ranking in the precinct that he's a part of. He orders his subordinate detectives to do the investigatory things they need to do, and then he goes to see his ex-wife, Joey's mother. When they arrive at her house, he asks his partner to guard the kind of back door in case Joey is hiding inside. He goes inside and has an argument with his ex-wife about the circumstances of him leaving the family. And we get the impression, but it's not made specific yet at this point in the story, that he may have hit her in an altercation that led to them splitting up.
Yeah.
His ex-wife, makes an offhand comment about his dad having been a violent criminal, and he leaves angrily, but not before encouraging his ex-wife to try to get Joey to turn himself in, specifically to Vincent, which, for what it's worth, sounds like a really good idea. Like it sounds like the smartest thing that Joey could possibly do would be to turn himself into a high-ranking detective who we know has reason to be sympathetic toward him in his case.
Who will actually try to help him out. You're much better off doing that than being on the run as a wanted fugitive with no money.
Yeah, but James Franco in this film is about as good at living in the world and existing as an adult as James Franco in our world is at not being a sex pest. So he's not going to make those good choices. He leaves, he goes back home, and he bumps into Michelle in the hallway. She asks him about what's going on, but he doesn't want to answer, and he's kind of cagey about it, and we can tell she's insulted. He gets into his apartment and cracks a beer, and I wrote, this guy is always cracking beers when he gets home from a long day at work, and it's a really cool thing to do.
I agree.
We understand, that this guy's life is supposed to be sad, but I think like being a grizzled NYPD homicide detective and coming home to your apartment and cracking a beer at the end of a hard day of like solving crimes that everybody agrees are bad, like I want murderers to get caught, is probably one of the coolest things you could be in your life. Honestly, you agree?
I agree. I do agree. And I was thinking how interesting it was as a little character moment. I don't even know if it was intentional, but he sits down at his table, cracks that beer open, and starts taking a sip before he even loosens his tie. And I thought he really needs that beer. Rough day at the office.
It was a rough day. Probably the hardest day at work, really, that anybody could ever have.
Doesn't get much worse than that, really.
Right. Unless you're like a doctor and your child died in like the hospital you work in.
Right.
I feel like being a homicide detective and finding out that your kid almost definitely killed a guy, it's like one of the really bad days you could have at work. I think that would be a really bad one.
It's one of those things you never want your child to do, is to commit murder.
Or sext 17-year-olds.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, not good.
The next day, Vincent goes into work and he's called in to talk to the police chief. They're worried about the media finding out about Vincent's dad. And so now we find out a little bit of color about what Vincent's dad did. So Vincent's dad was executed decades ago when Vincent was a kid for murdering a baby.
I'm not laughing at that. That's really sad. I was just imagining James Franco in his Instagram DMs with that 17-year-old girl, and she's like, well, just so you know, James, I'm 17, and he just responds and he's like, what? There's static. I can't hear you. And then she replies, it's text. It's a text conversation.
And he just does like a react emoji to that with a 17 emoji.
Yeah, he does the react of the monkey with his hands covering his ears.
It's the yellow face.
Yes. That's right. Speak no evil.
Vincent insists to the chief and the press folks that are in the room that his dad didn't actually murder the kid and that it was an accident. And we get some crazy exposition via dialogue. I'm sure you're noticing in this film, it does a lot of its storytelling via exposition through dialogue.
Yeah.
About how Vincent's adoptive father was the cop who arrested Vincent's biological father for killing the child. And he brought Vincent into his family, raised him, and essentially shepherded him through the NYPD in a way that it's a very interesting thing to happen to a character. I have no problem with it. My understanding is that this is actually true. This really did happen in the real Vincent LaMarca's life. But no person would ever have this conversation. The chief's yeah, I know that whatever his name is, he adopted you after your dad was executed and brought you into the NYPD and taught you everything you know. It's who would say that? Everybody knows that.
One, it's kind of a reverse Dexter situation when you think about it. And two, I thought this was the clunkiest part of the entire movie because De Niro is called into LaMarca is called into his chief's office and is kind of just surprised by these other two people who just immediately start launching into this really invasive, unpleasant interview. And I'm just thinking no one could send him a meeting invite, maybe a day before. Hey, we're going to have a couple of people interviewing you about your father, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you should prepare some thoughts or something
And I'm remembering the structure of a police department correctly, right? He's a lieutenant detective, which is the second highest ranking person in the department who isn't a political appointee.
Right.
Right. It would be at a company, the CEO, calling a senior vice president or a C-level executive into their office and just putting them on blast in front of a bunch of other employees. It's a pretty disrespectful thing to do to a guy who seems pretty important. He's really good at his job and he seems really good.
You call the senior vice president of finance and he sits down. So Todd, your dad was a real piece of shit, right?
Right, in front of some random PR manager or something. I'm remembering correctly, right? Lieutenants, they report directly to the chief. That's kind of messed up. I don't know. I feel like you want to follow some different channels if you were actually having that conversation about something so sensitive, both politically and emotionally for the for the person in question. Very odd. Very, very strange scene. They take Vincent off the case, but he insists his partner stays on and tells his partner that he'll respect whatever happens out in the field, even if he has to kill his kid. Which, I respect the professionalism or whatever, but I don't think they should have left his partner on the case either. It just seems from an ethics perspective, this is a very basic situation.
Yeah.
It's detectives and their partners. They're very close. That's that's one of the most sacred bonds that two human beings can have. Being two people who work together 10 to 12 hours a day in life or death circumstances all the time. It's listen, I know that Joey's not his partner's son, but he's at least his nephew. If you think about how close partners are in police departments, I think you probably want to put somebody on it who doesn't have any connection to this kid at all.
Right. Are there really not two other detectives who could handle
really
this case?
Good detectives.
They already know the perp.
We see Michelle. She's in a cafe during the day drinking a coffee, and Vincent walks in and she says she's not used to seeing him during the day. And he tells her that he took a few days off of work. And he had a tough day yesterday and that he doesn't like talking about work, which I've noted here is a weird defense for this particular situation because fair. But I think the reason why you don't want to talk about this is maybe a little more sensitive than just that you don't like to talk about work. I think it's something a little different from that. And she's not happy about it. And she says she doesn't want to marry him. She wants to know him. And she also says she's 43, which I noted really weird age gap.
How old is he?
Well, so let's think about it, right? So when do you think this film is supposed to take place? Maybe the early to mid 90s, probably.
I don't think there was anything suggesting that it didn't take place in present day.
Okay, so maybe it's 2002. That's even worse. So we know from dialogue later in the film that he was 8 years old when his father was executed in 1959, which means that in 2002, he would have been Oh, no, I guess only 51 years old. So it's really not that weird. I think I had another 10 in my mind. I thought it was like 61 and 43.
Don't try to James Franco, Vincent LaMarca, okay?
I think that what makes it hard is De Niro looks so old in this role. He looks older than I think the character is supposed to be. Do you agree?
I would have guessed mid-50s for his age.
But he was older than mid-50s in 2002, wasn't he? He was in his early 60s.
So I don't think he looked particularly old.
I think he looked like he was in his early 60s.
I think he looked good. He had the gray kind of shaggy hair going on.
He looks great for being in his early 60s. I just mean he looks like he's in his early 60s. In any case, he seems a little old to me to be dating a 43-year-old woman. But you're right. It's not a James Franco situation. So why don't you just edit this all out in post.
Who gives a shit after a certain age, right? Like who's worried about the power dynamics of hold on, this 43-year-old was coaxed into a relationship with a man in his early 60s.
He's a powerful police detective. We see Joey. He meets some dude standing out in a park and asks him for $1,000. I did not understand what was happening here. Joey's like carrying around like a garbage bag, but we don't see the stuff that's in the garbage bag. And he just asked this guy for $1,000. Was he trying to sell him stuff in the garbage bag? Like, did you understand this?
No.
Doesn't really matter. He walks away. He does not get $1,000 from the guy. Gina, Eliza Dushku, comes to see Vincent and is let in saying that she's a friend of Joey's. He asks her where Joey is, and she says she doesn't know. And he asks her when the last time she saw him was, and she just doesn't respond. And she brought a box of Joey's shit. And she believes that he's really gone to the Florida Keys, says she really doesn't know where he is, and tells Vincent that her advice is to just focus on being Joey's dad, but that she wants to leave this shit with him because she doesn't know what to do with it. It was really important to Joey, and so she's just going to leave it with Vincent. She leaves. He looks through all the shit in the box, and we see him look at a picture of James Franco as a kid in some football gear. It really was James Franco, right? I was pretty sure it was actually a childhood picture of him.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I think it was. But I mean, it was very narrow because of the aspect ratio.
That's true. Yeah,
tough
kind of a banana face.
Yep. He meets up with Michelle and finally tells her what's going on. He tells her about his dad, and so now we find out exactly what happened. And I'm excited to talk about what actually happened, which is somehow actually more fucked up than what they say happened in the film. So his dad was executed when he was 8 in 1959, and he was in for a lot of money with a loan shark. And the way that he devised to get out of his debt to this dangerous loan shark was to kidnap a baby from a rich family and write a ransom note. But unfortunately, what happened was he had the baby swaddled in a blanket in the backseat of the car, and the baby strangled and died. And so he, quote unquote, murdered the baby. But Vincent's view is that it was really more like aggravated manslaughter, not murder, which, that's a quibble from my perspective. Like, I just think about it from the vantage point of those parents. And it's like, I don't think I really care whether he like choked the baby with his own hands or not. It's like, in service of doing a crime, you made my child die. In my mind, you murdered my child.
Yeah.
What actually happened was, this really happened. Vincent LaMarca's father really did kill a child in this way. But the way that he killed the child was he got cold feet while he was in the process of doing the kidnapping and just left the child on the side of the road, and it like rolled into a bush and strangled itself to death. It's like,
Jesus.
What the fuck are you doing? You're like, that's your solution to the problem is to leave it on the side of the road. Like, you got cold feet, but you didn't think about like maybe dumping it at a fire station or like at a restaurant or something. It was the side of the road.
Right.
That was the place you chose, you fucking idiot. Like,
I don't know. I don't really know what you do in that at that point. You're really, it's like in for a penny, in for a pound, right?
Like, yeah. But if you're going to do it, I think you have to commit to it and do a good job at it. But I think if you're the kind of person whose solution to this problem is to kidnap a rich family's baby, you're probably a fucking moron. So I don't think you're playing with a full deck of cards as it stands.
Yeah, I guess, you know what I might do if I was in, I assume the Long Beach area. Maybe I would just try to find a person on the street and just kind of like walk up to them and go, hey, my shoe's untied. Can you hold my baby for a minute? And they go, oh, sure. And as soon as they take the baby, you fucking run. You just like book it in the other direction.
It's better than leaving them in a bush on the side of the highway.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. That's probably the worst possible thing you can do.
So we also learn in this scene that he never told her he had a son. And actually, she explicitly asked him if he had kids, and he said no. And she's really pissed to find out about James Franco. And he tells her about how he hit his wife once, his ex-wife, and that's why they're broken up. The way that it happened was they fought a lot, but one time he just got a little bit too hot under the collar and hit her, and they tried to get through it, but their marriage was never really the same. And he tells her about how he thinks Joey killed a guy. And the reason why he stopped seeing Joey was because he didn't like that the visitation was supervised and made him feel like a criminal in a way that triggered some like PTSD type reactions due to his experience with his dad having been imprisoned and killed when he was a kid. But also, and this is the first time that I wrote down that his ex-wife's name is Maggie, that Maggie, his ex-wife, was kind of poisoning Joey against Vincent as well.
Yeah.
Did a number on him, as it were. And he notes in the greatest understatement in the history of storytelling that maybe he should have tried harder with his son.
He abandoned his boy.
Yep. And he tells her that the reason why he didn't tell her was because he was afraid that when she found out who he used to be, she wouldn't like the person who he is now because he isn't that person anymore. And she says she has to think about it and leaves. And we see Vincent watching home movies of Joey as a kid. This is really a turning point for the film. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I think this movie's a little confused, and I think I'm more predisposed to liking films about morally ambiguous protagonists than you are, but I did kind of wonder to myself over and over as the movie went on, why was this a story that someone thought needed to be told in the film art form? So I don't know, that kind of stuck with me. But overall, at this point in the film, I was actually enjoying it quite a bit. I didn't think it was high art or anything, but it was moving by pretty briskly, and the performances were good. There was a lot of gritty, bleak, cold Asbury Park imagery that I enjoyed, and I don't know, I was kind of enjoying it. What about you?
Yeah. I actually really like this. This is my favorite thing about the movie. And I'm going to tell you why somebody thought this story needed to be told. It's because this is kind of a crazy thing to think about that I actually think could probably happen to just about anybody. Like, maybe not in this particular way, but it's an interesting exploration about how, like, one or a small set of really significant bad decisions or missteps can kind of spider out of control and, like, completely ruin your life in a way that happens so slowly that you don't really notice how bad it is while it's happening. You just kind of wall yourself off to it. And then 20 years later, your kid's a murderer because you were a terrible dad. But it's like, I don't know. I think that this kind of thing can happen, right? Like, it's not difficult to imagine this kind of thing happening to, like, maybe a person of, like, slightly weak moral character, someone who's a little bit avoidant as a personality. And, like, we know that parents who are in the midst of acrimonious divorces do sometimes weaponize their children against their ex-spouse with whom they're cantankerously separated. And, like, I don't know, I thought this was really sad, and I don't think it excuses this character's behavior. Like, at the end of the day, you're either a good parent or you're not, and there's really no excuse. It's your fault if you do a bad job, like, full stop. But I really sympathized with this as an arc, and it made me reflect on just the responsibilities of parenting and how you really can't ever fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of just have to get up every day and, like, really put your best foot forward all the time. I think about this all the time as a parent. Like, it's like you never know what little misstep you're going to make is going to be way more significant in your child's life than you realize it's going to be. So, like, I actually found this really profound, and I do understand why they wanted to tell the story. And I just don't know that I think they did a very good job, but I think it's an interesting arc for a character to have.
I found it affecting, and De Niro does great work here in this role.
Oh, his performance in this role is incredible.
Yeah, delivering that monologue, explaining his tragic backstory, that all worked for me quite well.
Yeah, it's a great Greek tragedy that I think in the hands of maybe some more talented folks could have been really good. But unfortunately, this film is, to your point, not high art. Even though I think its subject matter maybe could be high art in the hands of, I don't know. I'll tell you when I get to my recommendation.
Wow.
At the end of the recap. So we see Spider. and he goes to Gina's house and holds her up with a shotgun. He needs her to find Joey for him. She's got a child in a crib. I initially referred to the child as a baby boy because he's in a crib, but we're soon going to find out that he's like 3 or 4 years old, which is a really strange age to still be keeping your kid in a crib.
Maybe he's remedial, man.
Yep. No, he seems like a perfectly competent kid when we see him. Like, he's walking around, he's talking, he's playing. He seems totally developmentally appropriate, especially to be being raised by an addict in recovery. Like, it seems like he's doing a pretty good job of raising this kid, besides keeping him in a crib at the age of 4.
You know, Spider puts the pressure on her to find James Franco, and I just don't understand how he thought she would be able to do it. I mean, at best, he would come to visit her after this point and she would sell him out, but this was pre-smartphone, right? I guess it wasn't pre-cell phone, but I doubt he had a cell phone. So he doesn't use payphones.
Use a cell phone.
Right.
Like, he's always using payphones. So he kind of threatens the child with the shotgun on his way out, and she takes the child, his name's Angelo, to see Vincent and tells him that Angelo, her son, is also Joey's son. So it's Vincent's grandson. And I wrote, I guess he's more toddler age than baby, a bit old to still be in a crib. She explains all about her life, that she used to be a drug addict, but she decided to get clean when she got pregnant and had to take care of her kid. And she asks him if it was hard when he left Joey, and he says yes, and that he does miss him. And she asks him if it gets easier to not feel the missing him after time, and he says no, but you just lock those feelings out. She asked for money to go buy cigarettes, and I wrote, I'm pretty sure she's leaving the kid with Vincent forever. After she leaves, he calls his partner and tries to tell him about the kid, but they have a bad connection. And Michelle comes by. She wants to break up, but he gets her to stay to talk. And while Michelle is in there talking to him, Gina calls and tells him, as I predicted, that she's not coming back, and she's going to leave Angelo with him. He tries to convince her to stay because leaving is a mistake, and offers to let her live with him, offers to get her an apartment, anything for her to come back, but she says no. And before she hangs up, she tells Vincent where Joey is, which is at some merry-go-round on the beach. And this scene, too, really worked for me. I really think this is a towering De Niro performance in service of a movie that just like really isn't that good. And I really found this, like, I almost got a little bit choked up during this scene. Like, I really believed him that he was like speaking from the heart to her. Like, he really regrets all the mistakes that he made that led to the situation. He understands better now than he did a few days ago before this all started happening, the towering scale of his fuck up in abandoning his family. And like, I believed him. I thought it was pretty compelling. Like, I felt what he felt, that he like really wants her to know she's making a huge fucking mistake. Like, it's really good.
I thought his desperate pleading was very emotionally affecting, but I will say this whole subplot, I understand what it's setting up for later in the film, but I don't know. It felt pretty abrupt for this Gina character.
Yeah. So Vincent's partner and now another random cop whose name I don't think we ever learn go back to the place on the beach from earlier where Joey was, which I think we're supposed to understand is the place that Gina told Vincent Joey was, but she calls it a merry-go-round, and I don't recall there being a merry-go-round at this place, but like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, this is the place where Joey is. Go back to the place from earlier where we knew Joey was living, and Vincent's partner climbs up a ladder, but at the top of the ladder, somebody points a gun at him and kills him. And I found this baffling as a creative choice.
Yeah.
Well, just like, they don't show you who the killer is in the moment. Like, you just see the gun and it fires and the guy falls and dies. And I was like, well, narratively, obviously, we're supposed to think like, oh, was it Joey? But like, it's not going to be, obviously. But like, then they show you that it was Spider like 8 seconds afterward. It's like, why'd you not show it in the first place then? Like, you didn't want to let that sit for 2 or 3 minutes and like leave the audience in suspense. Like, it was literally less than 10 seconds. Like, it's like immediate.
Right, because it wants to have a suspenseful moment where we think that maybe Joey's
Joey's a cop killer. Like, yeah.
But wouldn't it be more dramatically resonant to show that Spider is watching the entire time? You know,
right? Or instead, that, so you always know,
create some tension. Yeah.
Right. It's like, so you don't get the tension of anticipation of knowing the cop is about to get killed, which would be uncomfortable in an emotionally affecting way. But they also just totally weasel out on the, like, maybe Joey's a cop killer thing after less than 10 seconds. It's like, let that sit for 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be for like half the movie.
Right.
Like, give us a few minutes to like that wonder.
Right. Imagine the cop gets shot. We don't see the killer, and maybe we cut for another scene to Vincent or something, and we just
something that has emotional resonance with that question.
Right.
Like, listen, I'm not a screenwriter. I'm not saying I could do better. I'm just saying I'm sure somebody could. Yeah. There's a lot of screenwriters out there who could have written a slightly better script, especially at
you think
this
we could
point.
go on Fiverr and hire someone to write a new City by the Sea?
Yep.
City by the Sea 2025.
So I wrote, we don't see who it is, then we immediately see that it's Spider. Spider realizes he killed a cop and leaves the gun behind in Joey's room and runs. And Joey comes back just as Spider is leaving, and he hears the cops coming because the partner had called for backup. I forgot to say when they first showed up before he was killed. Vincent shows up, and he's really upset that his partner is dead, but he's also really upset that the cops broke protocol going into the building before the backup showed up. The chief arrives to talk to Vincent, and Vincent tries to make the case that they can't make Joey the lead suspect because there's no real evidence that it was him. But the other cop who was with Vincent's partner shows up to the disagreement Vincent's having with the chief and says they found Joey's fingerprint on the gun that was up in the room. And I wondered here, how do they have his fingerprint? Was it actually Joey's gun the scary guy used? How do they have his fingerprint? Like,
I believe Spider used the 45 that Joey stole from the vet's office when he was.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, why do they have Joey's fingerprints? Had he been
know.
booked before? Like,
yeah, I'm guessing he was just booked before. He's like a low-level junkie.
Then why was it so hard to figure out who Joey Nova was?
Oh.
It seems like if it had been booked before, they would have had any fucking information about this guy in their database. Like, listen, I'm not a cop, but
maybe like that was a recent change for him. He was driving like a Ford Pinto before, so they were like, well, Joey Nova.
Joey Pinto.
There's a Joey Pinto, but it couldn't be him. It's got to be a different Joey.
Joey refried beans.
Yeah. Joey Volkswagen Beetle.
Maggie shows up, his ex-wife, and makes the case that Vincent should save Joey, but Vincent's really pissed. He believes that Joey killed his partner and says that he isn't going to help him. Vincent goes to his partner's wake. Everybody's really sad. And on the TV, there's a story about Vincent's father playing on the news. And it's just a really messed up situation for everybody.
Bad timing.
Especially his partner's daughter is really upset about her dad being dead. And I wrote here, Vincent is really frequently having to confront how bad it is when your dad isn't around. His own past, his abandonment of Joey, his grandson, now his partner's kid. Like, they're really laying it on really thick here. It's like, this for me is another part of it that doesn't work, because again, if you just tell me about this story, you tell me conceptually, like, here's this story about this guy, because here's what this film's really about, right? It's about like cycles of trauma, like epigenetic trauma and like neglect and abuse, and like the ways that like cycles and patterns of bad decision making can transcend generations and become like just a cycle of abuse and neglect, right? Or like, I get that. That's fine. You just say it. You know, you don't need to show us like so many times, like really beat us over the head with how bad it is to not have a dad. Like, I get it. You know, he gets it. He's already thinking about it.
It's so melodramatic. I think
it's very melodramatic.
It's unfortunate because it kind of detracts from what the kind of gritty, dramatic, realistic quality that I think this film wants to have or should aspire to have.
Yeah, I agree. He goes back home and talks to Michelle about how awkward the wake was and wonders aloud if this whole Joey thing is his fault. Yeah, man, I think so.
Wow, you think obviously. So? You think maybe the buck stops with him?
Yep. He argues to her that he really feels in his life at this point that people don't have choices and their circumstances are more of a sentence than a choice, and reflects on how his father's crimes and his execution made him feel as a kid. Joey calls on the phone, and Vincent gets him to agree to meet up with him. He looks down as he's about to leave his apartment and notices that there's a van outside, like one of those unmarked vans that you have if the cops are there tapping your phone line. and he realizes that his phone lines are being tapped. The cops call as he's about to leave, and he tells them that he very rightly doesn't feel safe with any cop other than him apprehending Joey, given that they think he's a cop killer.
Yeah, they're going to start blasting.
Right, and leaves to meet Joey.
I feel like nowadays, if you see an unmarked van, it's either one of three things. One, it is cops wiretapping you. Two, it's a hashtag van life person. Or three, it's a pedophile. And I feel like there are really, no good options there, right? Like, you don't want to see an unmarked van outside of your apartment.
Oh, it's tough to say. I think van life people are pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah,
like, I know
honestly,
that you and me have watched a lot of Foresty Forest. Like, I think that it's really uncool.
I was just goofing.
The way that some people live that kind of lifestyle performatively. Like, it's like what I would be doing if I was a van life person. Like, I would just be doing it for the social media algorithm. Like, that's not the kind of person I am. But when I watch Foresty Forest, like, I believe him. Like that he really wanted to get away from the doldrums of modern life and just be living in a van with his dog and like exploring the wilderness. And like, listen, man, if that's the kind of person you want to be, I honestly think that's fucking awesome. That's really, really cool.
Does seem really cool. Yeah.
It's super cool. It's not for me. I like, the creature comforts of the modern world. But I respect all people. We all do really here on Our Hero De Niro. The only kind of people here on this podcast that we don't respect are people with ASMR kinks. What was the other kink that you were blasting people for? Mummification kinks. And I never looked it up, but the thing that I described as crushing. Wanting to be stepped on. Wanting to be stepped on by a hot lady in high heels.
Is it like...
everybody else is good with us here.
Is it stepped on anywhere on your body, or is it like specifically the balls? The bits.
I think it's anywhere, but I think that would probably be the apex of the kink. Yeah. I would think, right? Because the kink has to be, I've never looked into it, but it has to be masochistic in nature.
Well, sure. Right? You're getting stepped on.
Having your balls crushed, it's just got to be just one of the worst things you could possibly have happen to you besides like being killed, right? Like that seems...
When is
I've been kicked in the balls before. Like,
have we talked about this on the podcast? Yeah. When's the last time you were hitting the balls?
No, definitely not. Well, let me think. Hitting the balls. I don't know if we've talked about it in the podcast, but there is an incredible photo. We'll post it in the show notes of me getting hit in the balls with a football. Probably 6 or 7 years ago. It was in 2018 or 2019. Very funny picture. That was the last time I got hit in the balls, but it was a football being thrown by a non-athlete in a casual way. So like it wasn't really that hard. Somebody kicked me in the balls when I was in high school. And that was so intensely painful that I remember the sensation to this day. And I have to imagine that getting your balls stomped on would feel 50 times worse than that. Like just an almost unimaginable pain.
Yeah. I think the last time I was hit in the balls was in the 8th grade. I distinctly remember it happening outside of the library. I think in between periods. And it was my friend who did it. I don't know why he did it, but he got me right
People
in the
love
nards.
Kicking each other in the balls. Adolescent boys.
As soon as he did, I would never initiate that because I know what it feels like. And as soon as he did that to me, I think I like jumped at him. Yeah, just like jumped him. It's like you can't go hitting people in the balls. That's not cool. It's not kosher.
And after you beat him to death, you wrapped him in plastic and chopped him up into tiny pieces like Dexter.
No, actually, what I did was I dumped him in the river, and I just assumed that he went out to the ocean. That's how it works.
You dumped him in the Erie Barge Canal. Yeah. Like he'll wash out to Lake Superior. Or where does the Erie Canal end? I don't know actually. Does it end at the ocean?
I think so.
Wow, I feel like we should know this. My mother-in-law, we've, talked about her on the podcast many times before. She's a big Erie Canal buff. I bet she knows all the information about where it starts and ends.
Yeah, it ends in the Hudson. It's funny if we're talking about regional stuff. There is a line in this movie. It got me chuckling. It wasn't supposed to be funny, but when Vincent LaMarca,
I don't think anything in this movie is supposed to be funny, man. Like I don't think they intended a single laugh.
It's not like a Marvel film where they're like, well, we have to have some quips to keep people engaged. You gotta have
one laugh every 7 minutes, right? Even when it's serious. Like, yeah. No, at one point when Vincent returns to Long Beach for the first time in forever, 15 years, he is looking around, driving around with his partner, and he says, he kind of ruminates and he goes, "This used to be a beautiful place," or something to that effect. And
I was thinking,
Asbury Park, New Jersey.
yeah,
Used to be beautiful.
And I was thinking, what would I say that about? What place in my life would I say that about? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. For anyone who's not, from the Rochester area, then feel free to look this up on Wikipedia. It has a page, the Mall at Grease Ridge. That's the place. That's the place.
What's funny about the mall at Grease Ridge too? When's the last time you went, by the way?
Probably a couple of years ago. It was with you and Nora to get her a pair of shoes.
I was there 6 months ago.
Congratulations.
It's funny because the whole like main area of the mall, this is mall talk, by the way. It's our new segment. The main area of the mall, the legacy area of the mall that you and me remember from when we were kids, is still there, and it still has stores, but there isn't anybody over there. But then they've also built this whole new area of the mall. Like there's like a Wingstop over there, and it's like where the movie theater is.
Oh yeah.
And there's like a few more people over there, but there aren't really very many more people over there. And it's like, why'd you guys build this? Like, was this really a profitable addition to this?
Why did you invest all this money into the mall? Yeah, the crappy Grease Mall. It's near and dear to both of our hearts because it's on the west side of Rochester. That was our mall growing up, and
that's where we went.
And I worked there. I worked there for several years. In college, I worked at Express for a year. And then afterwards, I worked at Macy's for nearly 3 years. And let me tell you something, that Macy's no longer exists. That's one of the RIP. We have a very good mall here on the east side of Rochester, Eastview Mall, a legitimately great mall, I would say.
It's an excellent mall.
But Grease Ridge really lives on, and it's just, it's one of those places that I visit very rarely. And every time I do, I'm struck by how much more depressing it is than the last time I visited. Very funny.
Yeah. What I think about when I think about that Macy's is how when we were kids, it was a Kaufman's. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. In the 90s.
And I was thinking about how Macy's grew so rapidly during that kind of like late 90s to early 2000s era via acquisition. I think they acquired a bunch of chains of anchor stores at malls because they were like a little high on their supply, I guess. It was just not a sustainable business model. The internet really disintermediated like so many industries in a way that like, just harkening back to our conversation about enshittification from before, actually blows ass. It was something I was really excited about 15 or 20 years ago. I remember when I was a kid reading this article that was like sci-fi at the time. It must have been like 2001 or 2002. I think it was probably in Time magazine, I think. And it was about this guy who'd legally changed his name to .com guy. You ever heard about this?
No.
Yep. So he'd legally changed his name to .com guy, and he had this fantastical idea that he was never going to leave his house, and he was going to live his entire life by just using the internet. Like by like cobbling together like whatever like rudimentary network of like delivery services and like those kinds of things there were at the time. And I remember reading that when I was a kid and thinking like, oh, that's so cool. Like really cool, like sci-fi shit. And that's reality now, and it blows. It's like really awful.
You can do that now, and it's dystopian. It's not good. You shouldn't.
You should
never
go
leave
to the
your
store.
House. Yeah.
It's like I understand. I was talking to somebody about this the other night. I understand the urge to just like Instacart food to your house.
Yeah.
Like it's very annoying to have to go out to the store, especially in the winter when the roads are bad. But it's like, I don't know, man. It's good to go out and like look at the strangers for 30 minutes. It's good for you. Like walk around a little bit. Like it's nice.
I don't like shopping at crowded stores, but I think it's very good to get out into the world and just sort of bumble around in Wegmans, once a week.
Yeah. It reminds me of that Kurt Vonnegut quote. You know the quote?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. I love Kurt Vonnegut. I'm going to recommend a Kurt Vonnegut book today. So it's he's talking about after he became a very rich and successful novelist, how his wife would argue with him about why he was going out to buy stamps individually. And he says, she says, well, you're not a poor man. Why don't you go online and buy 100 envelopes and put them in the closet? And so I pretend not to hear her and go out to get an envelope because I'm going to have a hell of a good time in the process of buying that envelope. I meet a lot of people and see some great looking babies, and a fire engine goes by and I give them a thumbs up, and I ask a woman what kind of dog she has, and I don't know. The moral of the story is we're here on Earth to fart around. And of course, the computers will do us out of that. And what the computer people don't realize or don't care is that we're just dancing animals. And he's right. That was so fucking prescient. It's a nightmare.
I love that quote. I think it really reminds me of the yes man philosophy that I had and maintained for many years. That I've dialed back a little bit nowadays, but I think in general, as a life philosophy, it's better to say yes to something, even if you're kind of ambivalent about it, because you will likely create a memory from that. Whereas, if the alternative is just, well, I'm just going to stay inside and watch reality TV for a few. I'm going to watch short form video. You aren't going to remember that like 3 days later. So I don't know, like just say yes and force yourself to go out for a couple of hours. And like, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but you will have had an experience. Whereas the alternative
you're like
is
lengthening your life.
Exactly. Yeah. It's good for you.
Yep. Talking about metaphysics and epistemology, right? Like it's like, the length of your life is not reality, right? The length of your life is the duration of your memories. Like when you think back on your life, the richness of your experiences is what going to determine what your life was, because what actually happens doesn't matter. All that matters is perception and the way that you remember things. So go to Wegmans instead of ordering your groceries on Instacart. I love going to the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite things.
I like going to Wegmans when it's not so crowded. I do enjoy the experience.
Even when it's crowded, I just like looking at all the people's faces, like looking at the clothes people are wearing, saying hi to strangers. I do like seeing babies, like I love babies.
Babies are cute.
See a lot of babies in life. It's nice to see them. They're really cute.
I feel like, I don't know if maybe this is a universal experience and I just don't know because I just haven't asked. But I feel like when I'm out in public and I'm near like a baby or a small, toddler in a shopping cart or whatever, or a stroller, I feel like they always like stare at me so intensely. Like they're really trying to figure me out, like something
it is a
about
universal
me.
experience.
It is. Yeah. Sometimes
it's not about you. What do you mean?
Sometimes I just wonder, there. I don't know. Maybe they've never seen a Latino before. I don't know what's going through their baby brains.
What you have to remember about babies is they can't see very far.
Oh, that's right.
So when you're having an interaction with a baby, you're thinking like, well, there's nothing special about me. There's 10 people who are within what I would consider eyesight of where I am. But if you're within 6 feet of the baby, you're the only person it can see, So they really are locking in on you.
Wow.
And it's really nice. It makes you feel important, right? Like, it's like, I love having those little moments with just like random babies out in the world. You're just thinking like you get to be for 5 seconds like a part of that baby's world. Like they're looking at your face. They've never seen a face like that before. That's really fun.
I agree. Anytime that happens, I try to sneak some wacky faces at them.
Right? Yeah. Make a silly face. Do a little wink. Like stick your tongue out. It's fun. Yeah, I love that shit. I do love babies.
Well, back to this depressing movie about all the murder, the fucking sons and fathers killing people.
So the place where Vincent had suggested that Joey meet him was where they used to watch the planes. He used that as a code word because he knew the cops were listening. Joey meets him there. Vincent suggests that he get a lawyer, and they have an emotional conversation about their bad relationship. And Joey tells him that the guy who actually killed his partner was Spider. This is where I noted that's the scary guy's name. So I've been calling him the scary guy anytime I've ever talked about him.
Well, he has a very distinctive mullet too, which really helps.
He's a scary looking guy. I wouldn't want to,
be on his bad side.
Apparently we'll learn later though. He has kind of small feet, same size as mine. So
I guess
10 and a half. Yep, I wear a 10 and a half. I don't think of myself as a scary guy. I'm sure you don't either.
I have smaller feet than you, so I don't even know if my opinion matters.
Vincent wants Joey to go in with him, but Joey refuses and he runs away. Vincent is called in to see the chief the next morning at work, and they're all pissed at each other. The chief is pissed that Vincent didn't manage to bring Joey in. Joey's pissed that the chief refuses to accept like any evidence to the contrary that Joey is the perp in the cop shooting, which like fair. Seems like doing some like really fucking shitty police work here, figuring out one of the most important things you could figure out as the police, which is who killed a cop, considering that person is almost definitely going to get killed extrajudicially.
Right.
Like it's like you really want to be right about that one because that person is probably not going to see their day in court. So like I think you want to really be sure before you like announce that they're the lead suspect that was the person who the cops are definitely going to kill and say it was in self-defense.
Oh right? Yeah. Oh, just you plant like 5 guns on him. Yeah, he was strapped. He was strapped like Neo in The Matrix, a movie that just came out 3 years ago. So
he started doing bullet time, and I had to shoot him.
He's doing bullet time, yeah. Give me any of that Juris My Addiction crap. You can cram it up your ass.
That's right. You do an incredible impression of that line.
That guy.
So they're all pissed.
It's my only celebrity impression is that bit actor from The Matrix.
Hey, I'm just doing my job. You give me that Juris My Addiction crap, you can cram it up your ass.
Have we ever gotten a single one of your celebrity impressions in this podcast? Because devoted listeners should know that Mike is actually unusually good at celebrity impressions. I think you're probably in like the 75th or 80th percentile. Like you're like significantly better than the average person at impressions.
Caroline teed me up to do Obama once in a listener mail, and I feel like I just didn't have it. I couldn't pull it at that moment. You know, you can't.
It
tee
probably
me up.
sounded good. I'll go back and listen to it.
I'm not your play toy. You know, you can't wind me up and watch me go.
Play toy. That's a word.
I don't know. What do people call? What's the phrase? I'm not your
plaything. Not your plaything.
What's the fucking difference? You play with the toy. What's the difference? Remember, what did I say before?
It's redundant.
You're using hot shit. Using hot shit.
It's redundant.
I think it's a perfectly cromulent phrase.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Vincent resigns. We see a scene of Joey going to see the guy who he was trying to sell his garbage bag of shit to earlier. And the guy doesn't want to give him any money. And I wrote, I still don't think I understand the mechanics of this deal. The guy offers him $100 from his class ring, and he gives it to him for the $100. But instead of giving him cash, the guy gives him drugs. Joey argues and says he doesn't want drugs and kind of touches him, like grabs like his arm. And the guy gets really aggressive with him, tells him not to touch him. He's not giving him back his ring. He's not taking back the drugs. He's not giving him money. He's a junkie, and the only place he's going is either prison or to die, essentially, of a drug overdose. We see a scene of Vincent back at home, and he has a friend of his who works in social services come over, and she's going to take Angelo. Vincent tells Michelle in the most milquetoast, unconvincing way ever that he just can't take care of Angelo, and she's super pissed, rightfully so. I wrote, this guy still basically sucks.
Oh my
and
God.
Michelle leaves him, and Angelo cries as the social worker takes him away.
It's really good child acting. Yep. they had to coax that out of the toddler that way. I cannot believe that it was so funny as a 104-minute film that Vincent has his grandson for all of an afternoon and is like, I got to get rid of this kid.
I
can't handle this. You know,
I'm not made to be a dad.
It's like, I don't know.
You've never tried.
Right. You've literally never tried. And I'm pretty sure you could manage on your lieutenant detective salary or benefits or whatever. You send the kid to daycare. He's going to go to school in like a year.
Yeah. I think in 2002, with overtime, an NYPD detective, he had to be making like $150,000 a year.
Oh, yeah.
It's expensive to live in New York, but like you're making good money, and he's living in a shitty apartment, so he's not spending it on rent.
Right.
Like,
just baby proof your little bachelor pad, and right. I think you're good. I don't know.
You can definitely afford to raise this kid, man. Like his drug addict mother, who's in recovery, working a part-time job at some drive-through and skimming cash from the register by her attestation, seems to be doing a great job of raising him. And I think that Vincent's like 10 times better off than her, at least. So I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah. I think what you do is you just go back to that McDonald's and you just sort of like drop the kid off and go like, hey, I think you left something at my apartment.
You go back to that brand agnostic McDonald's, air quotes. God, I would love some McDonald's tonight. Doesn't that sound so good?
It does sound good. I don't have as much fast food as I used to. It's kind of sad in a way.
I never eat fast food anymore. I cut that out. I shouldn't say never. I mean, I probably have fast food like once a month, but we were on like once or twice a week fast food for a while. And about 6 months, I was like, this is way too much. And so I've cut it down to like, I don't think I've eaten fast food in probably 4 to 6 weeks now. Yeah. So it's time. I could order McDonald's tonight. Like, it could be a nice little treat.
I probably have McDonald's once every other week. I just, I enjoy it.
It's really good.
It's good.
Really good.
It's expensive.
Oh, it's gotten so expensive. And the thing about it is, it's really not that good anymore is the problem.
Right.
Like, I feel like it's both gotten more expensive and the quality has degraded. Andrew has talked about this, I think with you and me before, but I don't think he's ever talked about it in a letter to the podcast. Andrew and I went on a trip together to Florida back in April, and we got McDonald's the night that we arrived, and it was one of those 1 in 10s. Like, it was like the best fucking McDonald's I've ever had in my life. And I was eating it and I was like, God, like, this is why you do it, because every once in a while you get this. It was like the sandwich was so hot. It was so fresh. The fries had obviously just come out of the fryer. Like, everything was like perfectly seasoned. And it's like, oh, and McDonald's is good. It punches so far above its weight class as like a mainstream fast food restaurant. But on average, it's not good.
Very few things make me angrier, and this is totally sincere. Very few things make me angrier than getting soggy McDonald's French fries at the drive-thru.
It's like, bro, you are taking something that is literally like we've talked about fine dining before. I've eaten a lot of good meals in my life. I've eaten at a lot of really nice restaurants. I think that McDonald's French fries at their best are the best French fries on planet Earth. Like, it does not get any better than that. You are taking a food that is literally in the highest echelon of foods, and you're making it like a D. Like, once they're soggy, they're so bad. It's like, I was excited for the S. Right. I wanted the S experience.
You can't blow it. That's why people are coming to this establishment. Right. That's the thing we care about.
And now a large fry is $5. When we were kids, that was $1.75.
Yeah. That's Biden-inflation.
It's all the tariffs, all the potato imports. Man. I don't support protectionist trade policy, just so everybody knows. I realize that my kind of dismissive comment there, paired with Bidenflation, could give the impression that I am trying to downplay the veracity of people's concerns about tariffs. But I actually think protectionist trade policy is really bad, and you should not do tariffs except for in extremely limited circumstances.
Yeah, I don't actually think Bidenflation is a thing. It's just fun.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's the point that I'm making.
I know, but I feel like you're saying it, so I have to say it. We all have to clarify.
Right. Everybody knows that you're being sarcastic when you say Bidenflation. So the point I'm making is that when I then follow that up by making a comment about tariffs, it makes it seem like I too am being like, and then people saying tariffs are bad are also being silly. But like, people saying Bidenflation is a thing are being silly, and people who say tariffs are bad are right. Tariffs are bad. And, the Biden administration did not have very much control over inflation. It was, there was a lot going on, a lot of inflationary stuff happening post-pandemic and with the Ukraine war and in that period of time. This has been another classic segment on the pod, macroeconomic policy talk.
Yeah. Hey, people, if you're listening to this, why don't you send us your fast food hot takes to ourherodeniro@gmail.com. I'd love to know how you feel about McDonald's versus other competing restaurants.
Yeah, and are you more of like a free trade person or more of like a protectionist trade person? Right. Yeah. All right, so we see a scene of Joey sitting under the pier on Long Beach. He looks really sad, and we see him in kind of a malaise, dropping sand on his sub Rand McNally map, as you described it earlier. Back at the precinct, we see the chief talking to the cops about how Joey definitely killed Vincent's partner, and another young cop comes in and says they found a non-matching shoe print in the blood at the crime scene. Importantly, it is a shoe print of a 10.5 cowboy boot, whereas they know that Joey wears size 12s. But the chief doesn't care and almost explicitly instructs that the cops shoot to kill when they find Joey. He says something like, this guy's a cop killer, so don't let him get one over on you or something. Like, which is why it's so important to make sure you're right about who a cop killer is before you send the cops after them.
I believe in due process. I don't think we should just shoot people because we think they might have killed a cop.
Yeah, I agree. I just mean I'm being practical. Like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of complex stuff to be said that this podcast episode at the very tail end of it is not the place for, about cultures and subcultures and the kind of quagmire of some of the more toxic elements of police culture. It's all very concerning, honestly.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? We're not going to solve that problem on this podcast.
Maybe in another episode.
Yep. Vince is walking out of his apartment, and as he's walking down the stairs, a neighbor of his comes out and says he's got a phone call for Vincent on his phone. And the cop who wanted to introduce the boot evidence into the discussion and was rebuffed by the police chief has called the neighbor's house to talk to Vincent unsurveilled because he knows that his phones are tapped. The cop meets Vince outside and shows him the photos.
Listen, are you going to say who this cop is played by?
No, I didn't recognize him. I have face blindness, remember?
It took me so long to recognize him because I've never seen him this young. This is Detective Dave Simon, played by a young Anson Mount. You know who Anson Mount is?
No.
He's the star of AMC's Hell on Wheels, and now he's currently starring in Star Trek Strange New Worlds as Captain Christopher Pike.
So Hell on Wheels was definitely a show that I remember now that you and me joked about at the time that it was on, because it is just a really funny thing, but I never watched it and I don't remember anything about it. It's just the name makes me laugh.
I never watched it either. We used to say the name of that show all the time. I've heard it's actually
tonight's
good.
Tonight's gonna be totally AMC's Hell on Wheels. Something, something you and me used to say when we were 22 years old.
I think that was back in the Four Loko days. It's just slam it, go to the gas station, slam an entire one of those, and then go drinking until the bars closed at 2 a.m. Very healthy time in our lives.
Oh, very healthy. Yep. It's yep.
I'm aging well.
I think we got out. Yep. Scot free. Right. I think I think that both of us look good. I think we both have clear skin. I think we both have color. We look healthy, and I'm sharp as a tack. And so are you. So I don't think it really had any deleterious effects on the quality of our lives at all. I do wonder, am I going to get like a cancer diagnosis when I'm like 58 years old?
Yeah.
That's the thing I wonder about. And my blood pressure's a little high, which probably has a lot to do with that. But other than that, I got out scot-free.
Yeah. I think besides the emotional damage that I wrought on people during that period of my life, I feel like I got out pretty scot-free. I look great for 36.
Yeah, you do look really good. Anyway. Vincent goes down to Long Beach and we see him. I love this scene. This for me, this and the discussion they had where they were talking about how they were worried about the PR blowback from Vincent's dad being a murderer are the two scenes in the film that kind of were so bad they made me laugh. In this moment, we get a scene of Vincent just kind of sitting looking statuesque and sad on a park bench, and a bunch of lines from throughout the movie play that are things that he's thinking about. And it's dude, this movie's not that long. We've heard all these lines in the past 70 minutes. This is really heavy handed. It's one thing if it's you can do that in a 40 episode TV show.
Yes.
If you want to have a character, it's an opportunity to remind you
first
what
episode
all
of the season, yeah.
Right. You talk about how great Breaking Bad is all the time. Breaking Bad very powerfully evokes flashbacks to things that happened early in the series, especially in the late episodes when Walt is confronting the damage he's wrought on the world around him. You see little stings of scenes early between him and Jesse and him and his family. And that's really affecting because it's if I'm watching that TV show like a normal person, I haven't seen that episode in 5 years. I didn't hear that line 18 minutes ago in this hour and a half long movie. So this scene made me chuckle a little bit. He goes into the diner that we've seen characters go into a few times and asks somebody where he can find Spider. He leaves a message at the diner for Spider. He says he knows he killed his partner and he's going to be in room number whatever at some motel down the street. He leaves and goes to that motel room and sets it up so Spider will think he's in there, but he stakes it out from a car across the street. Spider rolls up, shoots up the room with a shotgun, and drives away. Vincent follows him. He follows him to some manufacturing facility where he lives, some body shop or factory or something, some industrial building. And Vincent calls into the precinct for backup. And we see the cops roll out. And I wrote here, and this really was a pretty fucking stupid thing for a guy who's supposed to be a cracked homicide detective to do. What if Spider, having heard Vince leave a message that explicitly says that he knows that he killed him, realizes the obvious way he knows that, which would be his footprints, and ditched the boots? This guy seems like a pretty hardened criminal. You would not be surprised if he realized that. He seems like a pretty smart guy, the Spider guy. So I thought that was a little bit of a plot hole. I was I don't think a really smart detective would let somebody know he suspects him in a way that would make him wonder, well, what evidence could they have? What are they going to find on me that's going to be incriminating? It was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think about that in the moment, but that's a good point.
That's it's from the twisted mind of Mike the Fab. Vince breaks into the place and gets decommissioned by Spider. He's about to kill Vincent, but Joey shows up and kills Spider and saves him. Backup shows up and they have a really emotional conversation about how Vincent regrets all the terrible decisions he made in his life, whatever, etc. And initially it doesn't work, and Joey says he wants to commit suicide by cop, but he goes up to the window and fires a few rounds out the window to draw the cops' attention, and they take some shots at him, and it seems like he gets some cold feet, because I think if you got shot at, you'd probably have a lot of trouble not trying to save yourself, and then you'd have to think about dying, and you would be I don't think I want to let that happen. I don't know. I don't think I could ever kill myself, honestly. I don't want to, but I don't know. I think I'd chicken out. Be like,
Yeah.
I just think about it. I would be like, I don't want to die. That like primal urge to stay alive is very powerful.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree, as I like to say on this podcast. I don't want to get domed by 20 cops, blasting in my general
So you
direction.
take one shot at me, like, yeah, I had big stones about suicide by cop before the first shot was fired. But as soon as someone fires a gun at me one time, I'm going to be like, I don't want to
just
die.
drop to the floor. Yeah, just try to dive. Yeah.
So then Joey and Vincent have a much more effective emotional conversation where Vincent essentially apologizes for the mistakes he made and says that he wants to save Joey now. And so finally, Joey agrees. He lets Vincent kind of cover him and like protect him from getting shot by the cops. Vincent coaches him through how to surrender in a way that is going to make it very difficult for them to kill him extrajudicially.
Hands up.
Right. Hands up, guns out, like, etc. And he's arrested and everything's hunky-dory. Happy ending. And we get a brief coda. We see Vincent on the beach with little Angelo. He's readopted him from social services and says that when Joey gets out of prison, they're all going to go to Key West together. And that is the end of the film. Mike, what'd you think?
So I think I'm going to lead with my rating and then kind of try to justify it. I am giving City by the Sea a soft 3 out of 5. I was mildly positive towards this film. I was lukewarm towards it, despite its issues, which we discussed earlier. I think it was kind of comforting in this distinctly early aughts kind of way. It went down so smooth. It was such a, considering its subject matter, it was just such an easy watch. And I think it is because it is so melodramatic and Hollywood in a sense that, I don't know if it's saying much about the human condition because it's so muddled by the rewrites that it apparently had, but I think the performances worked really well. De Niro was so great in the role, and it was really nice after New Year's Eve where we saw him for about 8 minutes, and it was a pleasure seeing him anchor so much of the film. And Frances McDormand, it's a shame she didn't have more time on screen because I think she brought more nuance than the script gave her, and even James Franco had moments where he rose above the material. So I don't know. I think as a mid-budget studio drama from the early 2000s, it was totally watchable. I enjoyed it, and I slot it below 15 minutes as far as early 2000s Robert De Niro cop films go. What about you, Mike? What did you think of City by the Sea?
Yeah, it feels a little rote, but I have very little to add, I think, beyond what you said. I agree. 3 stars is the score I'm going with. I didn't think about 15 minutes, although that is an apt comparison. I landed on 3 stars because I really did like this movie. Mm-hmm. Like, I had a good time watching it, and I think that, to your point, the performances are really good. And especially De Niro's is like exceptional. This is, even by the standards of Robert De Niro performances, like this is a really good one. He's really, really good in this movie. And it went down pretty easy. I found it pretty enjoyable to watch. And I think that it had some questions to ask, and at points even a few things to say about like the wages of sin and like, to my earlier comments, like cycles of trauma and abuse and neglect and like mistakes and all that kind of stuff. Like, and it made me reflect on the almost suffocating weight of being a father. It's a lot of responsibility. And I really appreciated that. It made me think about that in a way that I had not thought about before. Unfortunately, the movie just really isn't that good. And so I am going to land on 3 stars. I am going to heart it on Letterboxd. This is definitely going to be a heart for me when the episode comes out. And what I thought about was The Fan. I was doing some review of my Letterboxd diary yesterday night. I think you and me were talking about or maybe the night before. And I was looking at the score, and I'd not the score, The Fan. And I was looking, I was like, not the score. I was looking at The Fan, and I'd rated it 3.5 stars when we first saw it. And like, that's soft. I'm giving that movie 4.5 stars if I ever watched it again. Absolutely. But even if I think back to the way that I felt after I watched it, I still liked it so much more than I liked this film. And so I thought about The Fan when I thought about where I was situating this one on the rating scale.
It's interesting how there are these like ratings that are sort of anchors for later films that we watch.
Yeah. What would you recommend in addition to / instead of whatever this movie was called, City by the Sea?
Yes, it was. I gave this a lot of thought, and I ultimately landed on a film that I briefly discussed many moons ago in the 5th episode of our podcast.
Wow.
So I'm recommending the 2013 indie thriller Blue Ruin, directed by Jeremy Saulnier. Are you familiar with this film at all?
No, ain't never seen it.
It's his first film, and I guess it was a festival darling. It's a very low-budget indie thriller following a drifter named Dwight who gets pulled back into a violent family feud when the man who killed his parents is released from prison. And the film, it's like a tight 90 minutes. I think it might be available to watch on YouTube for free. But it's a very raw, grounded look at how cycles of trauma and revenge play out over generations. And it's very totally different than City by the Sea. That's a much more Hollywood, melodramatic kind of production. Blue Ruin is very minimalistic. It is very raw. It is very bleak. And it really shows how difficult and messy engaging in this sort of I almost said Rwenge.
Because of this kind of Rwenge story.
It means Omerta. It means Rwenge.
It means Omerta. It means Rwenge.
But anyways, it's tonally, it's a very bleak, weary film that's broken by moments of very brutal violence. But it's a very compelling companion to City by the Sea. And I think that it's well worth your time. So I recommend Blue Ruin. Mike, what about you? What do you recommend? In addition to
that movie sounds great.
Yeah, it's a good film.
I did not clock it when you talked about it because I looked it up on Letterboxd. I added it to my watch list and I've never seen that poster before. So whatever context you talked about it in episode 5 did not inspire me to look the film up. So I'm glad you mentioned it again. I would like to watch it. All right. Anyway, so I have a recommendation today that I'm super excited about. I would like to recommend the 2017 Martin McDonagh film, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Oh, yeah, that's a good pull.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to recommend this film. So the first reason to recommend it is that it stars Frances McDormand, and she is incredible in the role. There's never been a bad Frances McDormand performance. Like there was some movie she was in a few years ago that I really didn't like. It was about that lady who was like taking an RV driving out west or something. Did you watch that?
No, I know what you're talking. Nomadland.
Nomadland. I found that movie so boring, but like she was such a bright light in that boring ass film that I really didn't enjoy. And she is incredible in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. So that's number 1. Easy tie. That's what made me find it. I was like doing my digging to find like what my recommendation was going to be today. But then I thought about it more and I was thinking like, I'm not really a Martin McDonagh lover. I know you're not either.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lukewarm on most of his films. I would say his second best film after 3 Billboards for me is In Bruges, but the tone of In Bruges just really doesn't work for me. But what I will say about Martin McDonagh's tone is I think it's better for the subject matter, for the City by the Sea subject matter. The City by the Sea subject matter is already weighty enough on its own. There's no need to treat it with melodrama. Just conceptually, the idea of the tragedy of failed promise, that Vincent has wrought upon the world around him by being like the worst father in history. And also the tragedy of just like the ways someone's latent bad character traits can be like heightened and amplified by like one mistake or one bad occurrence, aka the like fight that he and his wife had that got physical, that really like took what seems like maybe some slightly like more undercurrents of like terrible character traits and really raised them to the top of the stack of like the things that were informing his decision making as a person. Like, I don't know, that's already like one of the heaviest things I can think of. So you really don't need to be melodramatic about it.
Wrap up the drama. Yeah.
Right. We don't need like a lot of like exposition-y dialogue and like that stupid scene of him sitting on the bench hearing things that he said 15 minutes ago in the movie. Like it's just like that's such weak milquetoast storytelling. And I feel like Martin McDonagh understands this. And what I don't like about In Bruges is that I think it's a little bit too cutesy. But when I think about 3 Billboards and about Banshees of Inisherin, both of which I think take very like I think likewise some of the weightiest topics you can imagine. Respectively, in 3 Billboards, the topic of the film is an unsolved murder of Frances McDormand's daughter. And in Banshees of Inisherin, what it's about is about the breakup of a decades-long friendship where just one guy just doesn't really love the other guy anymore and doesn't want to spend time with him anymore. Like, those are 2 of the saddest things I can imagine, honestly. And I feel like Martin McDonagh understands creatively that that's enough. Like, Banshees of Inisherin can be kind of funny because we already know that it's sad. You know, like anybody with even a shred of empathy can imagine what it would feel like to have your heart broken in that way by somebody who was such an important part of your life. And so we don't need like, you know, scenes of Brendan Gleeson like sitting thinking about why he doesn't like his friend anymore. Like, it's fucking stupid. We don't need to do that. And yeah, so there's that part of it. And then the other thing about it is that I think Three Billboards is about a lot of the same things. It's about, you know, our failures as parents and the damage that they can. What's the reap? What is rot the past tense of?
Rot is an archaic past and past participle of work.
Okay, so I guess nothing. It's archaic. So I guess we could just say wreak. You know, the damage that bad decision making and weak parenting can wreak on a child and their development. And it's about police ineptitude and, you know, police politics. And it's about the ways that reprehensible people are lovable to someone, right? Like, you know, Joey in the stupid City by the Sea movie, he like really sucks, you know, like he's just like not a very good guy, you know, like he's weak and he's violent and he's stupid and he's like weak of will. But his dad still loves him. You know, he still sees that boy who was in there. And similarly, something that I think Three Billboards does really well is it like it humanizes the monstrous Sam Rockwell character, who's just like a moron, racist douchebag. But I think that it does a good job of like showing us his humanity. And I think Martin McDonagh is a director and a storyteller who does that kind of thing really well. And I think this movie would have been really, really good if Martin McDonagh had directed it. So there you go. That's my recommendation for this week.
I think that's a good recommendation. I'm not Martin McDonagh's biggest fan, but I think Three Billboards and In Bruges are his two best films. And yeah, you almost make me want to rewatch it.
Three Billboards is really good. That's a 5-star film for me. That's, you know, he doesn't want to say, but it's a Mike Beck at you 3.5. I looked earlier today.
Trying to be kind,
and I think,
trying to be respectful.
I think that's a little soft, man.
I think it was probably a little, I think I tend to underrate films when I watch them for the first time.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
It's probably a 4. I don't know. Listen, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine.
You should watch it again. It's a really nice movie. And Woody Harrelson's in it. Like, come on, who doesn't want to see him? He's awesome.
Listen, they're all good in that movie.
Oh, the performances are great. Yep. Oh, Sam Rockwell. What a performance. God, I love Sam Rockwell. Anywho, that's my recommendation. And so that's our recommendations. And so I guess that leads us into our next segment, which is The Roll. Mike, what are you excited to roll this week?
Man, it is so nice to be back to rolling for the next De Niro film. It's the start of a new year. There's so many opportunities ahead of us. I feel like this could be the time where we roll number 49, Silver Linings Playbook.
God, I hope so.
All right.
I see you've got your cursor on it. I'm going to put my cursor on it too. We're manifesting.
All right. I'm going to roll now. Not even close. I rolled. Oh my God. It is finally happening, folks. I rolled 1999's Analyze This.
All right. Okay.
A 1999 American crime comedy film directed by Harold Ramis. It follows a crisis-stricken mafioso played by Robert De Niro, who solicits the assistance of a reluctant psychiatrist played by Billy Crystal. And I think we're going to have a special guest for this one, friend of the pod, Philip, a.k.a. Ellipse. How incredible. We're coming back hot with a guest episode next week. Philip's going to be on the hot seat.
I'm pretty excited.
I hope he's ready for it. We don't play around on our hero De Niro.
God, we really don't.
If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. That's what I always say.
Yeah, if you can't stand the heat, you better bring one of those little ice packs, you know, to keep on your forehead.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. Next week, we will be watching and recapping Analyze This, starring Robert De Niro and featuring first-time guest star Philip, a.k.a. Lips. And with that, that is going to do it for us today. I would like to thank you, my co-host Mike, for another amazing episode of Our Hero De Niro. I would like to thank my beautiful, lovely wife, Caroline, aka Bad Cree, for drawing our podcast's wonderful cover art. And I would like to thank you, really most of all, loyal citizens of De Niro Nation, for coming back week in and week out to join us here in the De Niro Nation. I would like to invite you to visit our various links, such as Instagram, etc., on allmylinks.com/OurHeroDeNiro, and write us a letter about literally anything at ourherodeniro@gmail.com. please rate us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your listening platform of choice. 5 stars only, please. We really need the encouragement. And I would like to invite you to join us next week for a recap of Analyze This, starring Robert De Niro. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody.